Welcome to day 4 of FS101 course. So far in this course, we have learnt about classes, we have learnt about objects, we learnt about that we can use static factory method instead of constructors. We also looked at how to build complex objects using builder pattern. And somehow because we were talking about classes and objects, so one of the main things that we discuss is that with object-oriented programming, we can model the real world objects. And today I want to take that point further. So I will not be doing any. I will not be showcasing any new feature or any new concept today. What we will do is we will build a small application, and that application will help us understand, will strengthen our concepts that we have learned so far. So what we will be building is we will be building a small application called Awesome Bakery. Again, today we don't have many slides, but if you still want to look at the slides, so the link is below, which is bit.ly FS101 day 4. So let me just do the pointer. So this is the link that we have. But let's leave that because we don't have many slides today. So let's look at the application. Let's look at the problem statement. The problem statement is in the assignments directory. There is a file called 04.md. So what we are saying is today you will be building a modern bakery application where items are served from the vending machine. We have two customers, Ram and Sham. They both have money in their wallets. We have two vending machines, one for the food item, second for the beverages. Food item vending machine has following items, so it has candies, muffins, and chocolate cakes. Drink vending machine has soft drink and apple beer, and then we have some transactions that a user is performing. Fine. So that is the problem statement that you have. What I will suggest is that you pause the video and think about the solution for a few minutes. Take a pen and paper and try to write down which all classes you will have. Again, we will be covering object-oriented design in the next week, but I still want to write a program which involves more than one classes because that will help you understand how things can start working together. Pause for a few seconds or minutes and take your time and think about the classes that you will have. Okay, now that you're back, let's look at what we need to do. So I will doing that from scratch. So yesterday we wrote some code in our 03 underscore day package. So let's create a new package now. The package is 04 underscore day. So because this is the fourth day and the fourth lecture that we're talking about. Let me just pin this so that we don't lose this tab. What I'm doing now is I am creating Java code. So let's do that. So let's start by looking at which all classes we need to create. Let's create a small file. Let's just create a small file in this, and let's just write down, probably let's create a file answer.txt. We will write the Java code later. So as we can see, what if we, let's just do that. Let me just do a split vertical, as that will help us see two things in one go. So what I'm doing now is, so this is on the left I have a problem statement, on the right I'm thinking about which are classes I need to create. So one thing that I can easily see is that I have something called a customer in my code. So let me just start by writing that I will probably need something like a customer. What we know is that a class normally has, so this will be some sort of a class, or probably I will add, let me just add here which all classes I have. So the first class that I have is a customer. The second class we can think is that we will have something called a vending machine, because that has to perform some actions. Vending machine. Third thing that we have is vending machine will have few items. So the third thing that we can easily think is an item. And then we have some transactions. So overall we can see there are at least three classes that we can easily understand it will have. If we start writing which all fields it will have, so customer will have a name at least, and they will have amount in the wallet. Let's start from that. We will decide which types we want to keep when we start writing code, but on a high level we will thinking about this. So vending machine, at least what we need to have is we need to have items. So this will be some sort of a collection. We can start with array or probably array list. We are not covered collection yet, but I'm assuming you have done software development for a couple of years, so you know there are a few collections existing. So vending machine has items. What does an item has? So item has the name, like candy. It has a price as well. For now, I'm thinking quantity should also be part of it. Let's just go with that, making quantity part of the item. You might think that item should not know about the quantity, but let's go with the simplest model where we only have these three things. So to keep things simple, so that what we think the we will have these many classes to start off. Okay, and now let's create a new class. So let's just do that. We will add a new class, Java class. Let's call it a customer. Fine. What we know about is it needs to have string name. That what we know. And the second thing that we know is it need to have amount. Now, as we can see, we have 5,000 rupees and 2,500 rupees. So we can keep integer as our amount. Integer is 2 raised to power 32, so something like 4 billion number, and no customer, and at least we can assume that no customer will have more than 4 billion rupees in their account. But I think about how will you represent, let's say 50.5 or any decimal or any double value. So we can think about to use a double as well, which probably will help us uh, use the numbers which are in decimal ranges like 50.5, 60.5 or something like that. But I still think the better way to do is use something called a big decimal. Big decimal allows you to represent the numbers in a more in the correct way. So I will go with big decimal class, and rather than keeping the name, so I will say big decimal amount in wallet. Fine. We can have another wallet class as well, but again I'm keeping things simple, so let's start with that. Then we will create a constructor, and let's create the getters. At least these things we need, so let's just add all of that. We will see what all we need, but at basic level we need all this information. Fine. Let's create another class. Let's just go back. Let's create another class. The class that we need to create is vending machine. Again, vending machine has something called an item. Let's assume that we want to keep the data in a list, and we will use array list to just say that we all know about array list class. All the Java developers in the range of 2 years at least have worked with at least array list. So let's start with that. It need to have something called an items, and what we need is we need to have a constructor as well, where we will have all these items as well, and then we can have a getter which has a list of items. What we will do next is we will just create this class. You can see the shortcuts down below. I'm using Mac right now, so if you're using Windows and you don't know which shortcuts I'm using, so you can, like right now I use Option Enter on my MacBook, and you can see for Windows it is Alt Enter. Create item. So I created a class called item. Okay. Then I also need to import list, so let's just do that. And what we know about item so far is that an item has a name, item has a price. Again, I will use big decimal as my price, rather because I might want to represent decimal numbers as well. So I'm not going to use a double or integer. I will be using a big decimal. And the last thing that I will have is the quantity. And again, I can go and create a constructor which take all these three things. Make sense? So we have all the three items created for us. Now what we really want to do is we want to write a program which can execute these scripts. So what we will do is, let's create a small driver class, or the application class that we have. Let's call it application. Let's create the main method. And now what we will do is, we will start creating the objects that are required as per our program, and then we will see if we can clean up some stuff and try to add more. Fine. So let's start by creating the customer. So we know the first customer is called Ram, and he has, what we know is that he has 5,000 rupees in his pocket. Again, we are right now not keeping currency somewhere, so we are just assuming 5,000 means 5,000. Let's create the second customer as well, and he has 2,500 rupees, and we can add Sham. So now we have two objects, Ram and Sham, and these are the two customers that we're working with. Let's create the vending machine. Okay. So for the vending machine, we are asking, a vending machine can be valid if it has items. So what we are saying is that we need to provide items to it. Just go back. Let me just do a command set. Go back. But think about it. Do you really think a vending machine needs an items always? Can't we have an empty vending machine? I think we can. So I think it doesn't make sense to pass an empty list as well, collections dot empty list. It doesn't make sense to me that we should be giving the onus to the client to do that. This is something the API needs to take care of it. So let's go back and think if we can make it better. The first thing that you have to think about is, do we really want to expose this to client? Can't we handle that ourselves? And I think we can. So let's just do that. Let's just get rid of it, and let's just say that we are just assigning it ourselves. Fine. Now in our application class we can do that. Now what we really need is, we need to add item to the vending machine. Okay, let's create an item. Which item we want to add? So we want to say that item has a name, so it is candy. Then the second thing is price. What we know is the price is 1, and we know the quantity is 100. Fine. Similarly, we know that we have muffin, which has price 50, and we know the quantity is also 50. Similarly, we have 30 chocolates. We have, price is 100, so this is expensive, and we have a chocolate cake. Fine. So this becomes our API. So what you can see is that, rather than thinking about the API in my code, I'm thinking in terms of a client. So my client is passing add item from here. So this is the API that I'm building. So let's create this method, and we can just say item, and now we can say items dot add item. Okay. Now if we go back, our code compiles, everything is good. We can run this application as well, and nothing will happen right now. That is fine, but we are good. Nothing will happen, but at least everything is compiling, so we are good. Now think about, can we do better here? Yesterday we talked about factory methods. One reason to use factory method was that if you have constructors which have the same type of parameter, so you want to create two constructors with string parameter, you can't do that. The other reason was the caching thing. Okay. Now think about, can we use factory method here? I think we can. I think factory method can give a good representation here. So what we can do is, we can say vending machine dot width, or we can say vending machine dot load width, and rather than providing the items here, we can say that we will be adding all the items which are here. So what I can do now is, I can just remove that. I can remove this, go back, and I can remove this as well. Okay, I think I made some mistake, and this is more or less what I'm looking at. So what I'm saying is that I have a vending machine. I'm loading it with load with few items. Now we are passing multiple arguments to this method. So what we can do is we can make use of something called a static factory method, something called a where argument. So right, rather than using item like passing in three arguments, because we might have more than three as well, why not just use items? Fine. Now what we can do is we can check whether we have items is not null, or if it is null, or items, or probably we can just check whether the item is null, not null, and items dot length is greater than 0. So this is a feature called where arg which was introduced. So this is called where arg, variable arguments, and it was introduced in JDK 5. So this was introduced at the time I joined engineering. I joined software engineering in 2005. So I became software engineer in 2005, and this is the time it was JDK 5 was also launched and released, and a lot of people were moving to that. And at that time, I learned about it. So I think the better would be, why not? I think let's do the opposite one. So if the item is, what we can do, that I like, that style I like more. If the item is null, or item dot length is equal to 0, I mean that is, it is empty. Let's just return the empty vending machine. Return new vending machine. Fine. So now we have an empty vending machine, which is fine. Otherwise, what I will do is I will just iterate over the item that we have, and I will just add, I will just say, or what I can do is I can assign it as well, variable vending machine. So if there is no item, I will just do that. Otherwise, I will vending machine dot add item, and I will return this vending machine. Make sense? So what I have done is I created a static factory method called load with. So yesterday we saw where we said create task. So today I'm saying that we can use something like where arg to create a static factory method as well. So I think this becomes much more easier. So if I go back to my application and I say that I don't want any anything in my vending machine, I can just say load with and don't pass anything, and I have an empty vending machine. So I have this flexibility, and tomorrow I want to add something, I can just say add item, and I can just pass in the item. Make sense? So I can do that. Let's name it. So this is the food item vending machine, which has 3 items. Let's look at the second vending machine that we have. The second vending machine is the drink vending machine. So let's take the different approach here. So we will start with an empty vending machine. We start with an empty vending machine, which is drink item vending machine, and now we will be adding item to it. So let me just add item. Which item I want to add? I want to add soft drink. I want to have the price is dot price, not value of 15, and I want to have 10 soft drinks. Right? And I can repeat this in line. And now I want to create apple beer, and that costs 75. Again, it's beer, so it should be costly, and it is quantity is 20. So now I have 2 vending machines, one vending machine for food items, the second vending machine for drink items. I think I can make it much more cleaner by, so rather than add item should return void, if I make it return the same object, if I just do this and return this, I don't need to then call draw drink item dot here. I can just do that and do an add item here. Similarly, I don't need this. I can just go here And now my API become fluent. So we have a chain of lines that are being called, and those are basically adding those items to the drink vending machine. So again, I showed you that you can still use a static factory method like this. Okay, hopefully it is making sense. Let's move forward. So what I need to do now, is I need to process some transactions now. Okay, fine. So what I'm saying now is Ram has to buy something. Now if I do ram.buy, what will happen? If then what will happen is that I will have to pass in food.vending machines to it, or I have to get the item from the vending machine or do it. Okay. Uh, what we really want to do is we want to buy an item from the vending machine. Think about how you use a vending machine. You first perform an operation on a vending machine. So if I think about it, how I use vending machine, I say vending machine. Okay, vending machine. I say take items, or vending machine dot give items. Or what I will do first is probably I will select items first. Select items. Then I will insert my card. Insert my card. Or give it cash. And finally vending machine will give me items. Vending machine to give items. Okay. I think this is what will happen. So you first select the items. When you select the items, you will see the price of the items, or the bill amount that you have to pay. Amount to pay. Vending machine will show. Machine will show amount to pay. Okay, makes sense. And then I will insert my card because I know how much money I want to pay. And then I will a vending machine, and then my cash will be taken from the, or my cash will be taken, or my card will be debited from, card will be debited with the amount that is being shown here. So how we will model that? Again, for this example, I really want to, for this today's lecture, I still want to keep it very simple. So I don't want to think too much, because we have still not covered object-oriented analysis and design, where these things will start making sense. But what I'm trying to show here is that you still have to think about how a user will perform actions. Okay. So let's talk about how we will do a select items. Okay, let's see that. So what we really want to do is we really want to tell the customer the amount he has to pay. Like in our case, what we are doing is we are just saying that they will buy one item at a time. So again, our example is simpler. We just want to buy one item at a time. If you look at that, that's what we are doing. We just multiply transactions, but at every transaction we're just working with a single item. Okay, let's think about it now. What we really want to do is we want to get the amount to pay from the vending machine. That's what we want to do. So we have the food vending item machine, food item vending machine. That's the first item that we have, and we can say select items. Which item I want to select? The item that I want to select is candy, and I want to select 30 of those. And what it will give me? It can just give me the price, that total price of candies, total, or total bill amount, I will say. Let's just do that. Let's keep it simple. Total bill amount, or amount to pay, probably that will be better. Again, the reason I'm amount to pay, I'm showing this process because this is the way you have to think. You have to this is the thinking process is involved as well. So again, the more you try this process, the better you will become. And again, a lot of time in design aspect of things are not right or wrong. You just have to apply your thinking and think about it from the user standpoint, how somebody will use it. And this is the reason having some sort of a client always helps, because you're thinking how my client will be using it. So when I select those items, so right now I'm only saying that I want to get 30 candies. What I'm getting is amount to pay. Fine. So in our case, the amount to pay will be like 30 into 1. Okay, because we have the first line that we have as the Ram buy 30 candies. So if I just copy it and do that, so I'm 30 into 1, which is 30. That is the amount to pay. Hopefully that makes sense. Now that I have select item and I have selected the items, the next thing that I really want to do is I have to insert my card or give it cash. So and vending machine will do that. So in an ideal scenario, what will happen is that we will insert the card in the vending machine. It will talk to the bank and it will debit the card. In our case, we can keep things very simple. So we can just say that we have the amount, and that amount we are just debited from the customer. So we have Ram, and we can say Ram dot, what we should say now, we can just say Ram dot pay and amount to pay. That could be as simple as it is. Okay, so what will happen then is we will know Ram will pay the amount, and let's assume that it also gave us the remaining balance or the amount in Ram's wallet. So it will tell us how much money is remaining. So normally this is what happens. So you make a transaction using your card and you will get a message from the bank that you have probably 2000 rupees left in your account or X amount of money left in your account. Right? So these are the two lines of code that we have written which talks about this code. Does this look fine? So we selected the item and then we went ahead with the let's run one more. Let's just look at this example as well. Sham buys 10 muffins. Let's just do that as well. So again, what we are saying is that we have 10 muffins. Each muffin costs, as we can see, 50. Okay. Okay, 50, and that should be 500. Okay, makes sense. We have 50 rupees. Each muffin costs 50 rupees, and we're trying to buy 500. One thing that we forgot here is we forgot to subtract the items from the inventory. Fine, so we have to reduce the inventory by 30 as well. Now here we are just selecting it. Once we buy the item, we should not be selecting it. So what we really have to do now is we just also have to say food vending machine dot take item from inventory, or we can just do that, and we know that how many items we want to buy. So we were saying that it is candy and 30. This name doesn't look fine to me. Take items from inventory. I can just keep it simple, update inventory. So I can just say update inventory after having that transaction is completed. So I just need to update my inventory. So let's go with this. So what will happen then is after this, we will know that the inventory should have 70 candies. So that's what we are expecting after that. Let's go back. What we need to do now. So we have Sham as our customer. No, what again? First we will select the item. So Sham again also wants to buy from the food vending machine. And we again select items. And this time what we are saying is we want to select muffin. And we want to select 10 of those. That's what we are saying again. I will get big decimal amount to pay. Let's keep it to I know this is not a good naming, but let's just go through that. Then we will say Sham will pay the amount and amount to pay to, and we will, what we will get is, we will again get the big decimal, which is amount remaining. That's a better word, remaining in Sham wallet. Sham wallet. Okay, I know this is a long variable name, but I prefer having my variables long than short. I think it's fine. Then we just need to again vending machine dot update inventory. Fine. And I need to have muffin and pass in 10 again. Okay. Okay. So if we look at this 3 lines and these 3 lines, they are very similar actually. So there is, the only difference that we have is we are working on a different item. So right now in the first example we are working on candy, in the second example we are working on muffin, but apart from that things are fine. In this we are working on Sham, and here we are working on Ram, and correspondingly we are working on different amounts. Can we create a small method? Let's just do that. Let's create a method which something like execute transaction. Place. Okay, so we did that. So we have, because both of the lines were same, more or less the same, so what IntelliJ could smartly do is that it could find out that it can just reuse the code that it has. So now just change that. So what we will do is we'll call it customer, and we will call it vending machine. We will call it item name, and we will call it the quantity. We can be more explicit, item quantity. Okay, that looks fine. So what we're saying is that we are executing transactions. For the first we were executing transaction on Ram, and then we are executing transaction for Sham. Okay, and we need to change that as well. So we can say amount remaining amount in wallet. So we can say amount remaining and wallet. It's fine. Anything specific to anyone that we is remaining? No. So I think now we are good, and it looks fine. At this level where we are just at the 4th day and we have not covered object-oriented design, I think this is fine. We might want to print it or we might want to return it, but for now that's what we are doing. So let's just create these methods. Let's create this select item method. Okay, we kept a array list here. I'm not using like map or something because we have not covered. I'm using array list because everybody at least knows that. So what we need to do now is we need to find the item that is in our inventory. So we can just iterate over the items that we have, and we can just find if item dot get name is equal to item name. Then we can just return the item dot get price multiply by item quantity. This is dot multiply because we are using that, and then we will use big decimal dot value of, and we have to make it the item quantity. Fine. One thing that I always recommend people is to not use item dot get name dot equals. So rather than using the dot equals operator, you should use the objects dot equal class. I think IntelliJ might also give that option. So if I press it, it might say that replace it with the object dot equals. The advantage of doing this is it is null safe. Let's suppose if item dot get name was null, in an earlier example you will get a null pointer exception. Fine, this is null safe, so that is better. Makes sense? So what we did, so we selected the item and we got the price. Let's go back. So now we have amount to pay, and we are asking customer to pay the amount. Let's go back. Okay, now what we really need to do right now is that we just need to change the state that we have in wallet. So we will just do this dot amount dot wallet dot subtract, and we will say amount to pay. We're not thinking over if the customer wallet is does not have enough money. For now I'm just keeping things simple because I just want to focus on the domain and how you will structure the code rather than talking about the exception scenarios, because we have still not covered exceptions, and we will be covering that in few lectures in future. So probably in 2 days from now, or in a couple of lectures from now, we will be discussing that. And what we can do now is we can just return this dot amount in wallet. We don't have to, a customer can also call the get amount in wallet as well, but I think it makes sense that rather than calling two methods, you can just call it in a single method as well. So you have amount in wallet. In our case, we don't have to do anything with it, because what we really have to do is, our job is to write a program that prints cash on hand of each customer. So what we really need to find is, at the end of executing all these transactions, how much money Ram and Sham has, and the quantity of each item after all these executions. So our vending machine has 100 candies, so how many candies will be left, how many muffins will be left. Fine. And finally we want to update inventory. So item name, item quantity. So what we really need to do now is, we just want to copy this stuff as well. So we really need to copy paste this, and we will look at how to make it better. And just give me a few seconds. And once I find the item, what I really need to do is, I need to do item dot get quantity minus item quantity, and I need to set that item dot set. I don't have a setter here. What I will do is, I will say item dot update quantity, and I will just do that. Why call a setter always? So you can always talk in terms of the domain. So right now what we're saying is, I will be just updating the quantity of the item. So the quantity of the item will be item dot get quantity minus this. So I can just go back. I think the better, what could be the better? I can just say item dot reduce quantity by, and what I can do is, I can leave the responsibility of subtraction to the class itself. So if I just go back here and I rename to quantity to item quantity, and rather than subtracting it here, I can subtract it here. This dot get quantity, or this dot quantity is minus equal to item quantity. Fine. So again, I'm letting the class do its work rather than a vending machine doing this stuff. So I can just specify how much quantity I want to reduce by, and item should be responsible for reducing that. Now, one thing that I'm not liking is the duplication of code here, because what we're trying to do is, we're just trying to find the item. Fine. That's what we're trying to do. So what we can do is, we can refactor the code and extract the finding of the item to the other method. So let's just create a small method, utility method, private item and find item. Let's just do that. I just need to pass in string item name. Again, here I'm assuming that the items are unique, so item names are unique. So, and I can just copy these lines and do this and return item, where I am right now. Otherwise I will just return null. Fine. So I use a private access modifier here. So now I can change my code to say find item, passing in the item name, found item. I could just say item as well, I think, because I will remove that. If item is equal to null. If there is no item, I can just return. Ideally I will return exception, but let's assume for now I will just return big decimal dot 0. So I have nothing to price because there is no item right now. And then I can just do this line of code. So this is the code that I will write. I found the item. If it is null, I'm just returning 0. When we think about the exception scenarios, we will again think about, well, what should be the best way to do that. But right now, let's assume you are trying to find banana and there's no banana. So ideally you should be getting an exception, but we have not looked at an exception. So I'm just right now just returning 0. It will not give you anything. That's fine. Similarly, what we can do is we can again duplicate these, move it here, and we have the same thing. We just have to do that, move it. Again, we have to ensure that we do a check. In this example, we just have a void method. So what we really need to do is we just need to check whether the item is not null. If it is not null, we will just reduce the quantity. Let's go back. So that's what we did. We can try running this code to see if anything breaks or everything is green. Okay, everything is fine so far. That's fine. Let's just write the remaining ones. So the next line is Sham buys. Okay, go back. After that we have, so we can just copy that and we can say Sham buys 5 chocolates. So this is the chocolate cake he's buying. So this is not a chocolate but a chocolate cake, and he's buying 5 of those. That is fine. Again, because we have created a smaller method, we can easily use it. Then what we're saying is Ram buys, oh, spelling mistake, Ram buys 3 chocolate cakes. So again the same thing. The only thing is this time Ram is buying it and the quantity is 3. Hopefully we are on the same line. Ram buys 2 apple pears. Okay, let's just do that. Ram likes pears. Okay, now we have to change. So we have to go to the drink vending machine. We have to specify the apple beer. That what we have done, and he buys 2. Then Sham buys 3 soft drinks. Okay, Sham likes cold soft drinks, so we do a Sham, again drink, he likes soft drink, so soft drink, and he wants 3 of those. Okay, Ram buys 2 soft drinks, so let me just copy that. So Ram buys 3 soft drinks and 2 soft drinks, so let's just get rid of that. Then Sham father gave 1000 rupees. So because Sham does not drink, so his father gave him 1000 rupees. So let's just do that. We will come to that later. Just let's look at the final statement as well, which is Sham buys 5 chocolates, because we can easily use the stuff that we have. So Sham already bought chocolate, so let's just copy this line of code. Okay, and he bought 5, so that is the same. Okay, now this line is remaining. So what we really need to do is Sham father gave him money, so what we really need to do is we need to add money to wallet. Add money to wallet, and we can say how much? 1000. Let's use spec decimal dot value of 1000. Okay, and we can money to add, and we are just saying this dot amount dot wallet. We are updating the amount on wallet, amount in wallet dot add, and we are adding money to add. Okay, so everything looks fine. So let's just try to run this code and see what is the what we really have to do is we right now again, if I run, nothing will happen because there is no summary that we are printing. So, and that is what the expectation of this question is. We have to print cash on hand. So what we really want is how much money Sham and Ram are earning, I have remaining. So Ram cash on hand, and that is as simple as calling Ram dot get amount in wallet. For Sham it is as simple as cash on hand, and we just have to use Sham instead of Ram. Fine, that is fine. Then we have to find the quantity of each of the item that we have. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, let's. So what we have to do now is food vending machine dot get items, and we really have to do iteration of all these items. And what we have to do is we just have to print those items. So what we know is item dot get name, and we can just say item dot get quantity. That's what we really want. Or the better would be we can say plus, so we can write it more English like 5 candies remaining, so we can just say 5 space, then we can say item dot name, and then we can say remaining. So this is basically becomes the remaining items in the food vending machine. I can just copy that, and I can just say drink vending machine, and this time I can call them drink items. I can do this, and more or less that what I want. Fine. If I run it now, let's see what happens. So what I'm seeing is Ram has 4490 rupees in hand, cash. Sham has 1955, 70 candy remaining, 40 muffin remaining, 17 chocolate cake remaining, 5 soft drink remaining, and 18 apple pear remaining. And if we compare it with the answer that we have, so Ram has 4490, so 4490, 1955, 1955, 70 candy, 40 muffin, 17 chocolate, 5 soft drink, and 18 apple pear. So we are good. Can we do better here? I think one thing that we can easily clean out is that again these are the duplicate lines of code that we can clean. So what we can do is, rather than doing all of this here, we can just say food vending machine dot print summary, item summary. Print inventory summary would be better. Inventory summary. And we can just do here, go back, we can just copy paste all of this here, and we can just say this dot items, or we just don't even need to do that, so we can just do that. And similarly we can just do drink vending machine items. Fine. I need to rename this as well, inventory summary rather inventor summary. Looks good, and I can just run that again. The answer is same, and I am good. So this is the answer that we get. Again, this code again can be improved more. We can think about creating a wallet class. We can think about moving the quantity to the to a separate. We can move that to vending machine as well. But I want to stop it here for today, because I think that will help you understand how to move beyond a single class. Okay, that's fine. I think I'm done. Thanks a lot for your time.